continue next time. I have to go. We'll continue next time. You know, I've just flown in from halfway around the world, and he's saying, see you next time. I said, any issues? He said, yeah, I'm going to Montreal. So we'll talk later. So I thought for a while, went on and talked to the secretary. I said, is Fred going out? He said, yeah, I'm just booking his ticket to Montreal. I said, can you book mine too? He says, where do you want to go? I said, to Montreal. Where do you want to sit? Next to him. And I said, don't mention it to him. Got my ticket, she arranged for my ticket. I came back, said, Fred, see you next time. Ran to the hotel, packed my bags, and showed up at the terminal with my boarding card. I'm waiting in the lounge, and I said, he better show up because now I am going to Montreal. He does show up, and in the waiting lounge, and he comes back and sees me out sitting out there, and he sits about 2 seats away, and he asked me, surprised to see you. Where are you going? I said, Montreal. So I kept reading my magazine, he kept reading his newspaper. After a little while longer, he said, so what flight are you taking? I gave him my flight number. He looked up his boarding card. He said, oh, I'm on the same flight. Keeps reading his newspaper. Then he says, what's your seat number? So I gave him my seat number. He says, oh, 16. 16. I'm next to you. Oh, what a coincidence. We get on the airplane. Sure enough, he's reading his newspaper again. I said, Fred, can you put the newspaper down? I want to talk to you. About what? I said, I want to talk to you about your objections. These were your objections. Objection number 1 was this, why you don't want to do business with me. And here's my answer. I have a contract for you from the Red Cross to take the blankets from Canada all the way to the Middle East. There's so many blankets, they're going to pay you $500,000. Ferry flight is only $100,000. You're going to make $400,000. Are you interested? Yes. Tell me more. And we went on in objection number 2. Who's going to pay for the hotel? Guess what? I have made arrangement with the hotel. The hotel wants your airline to come in to the Middle East, they're willing to give it complimentary. Objection 2 is gone. And we went through all his 5 and 6 objections. When I was done, I said to him, Fred, do you have any other objections? He thought about it. He says, I don't. And you telling me I'm going to make money on this trip? It doesn't cost me anything? So these are the facts, these are the numbers, here are the charts. And he said to me, where are you going from here? I said, I'm not going anywhere. I'm with you, I'm your shadow for the day. I want to know what are your objections. And he turned around to me once we landed, he says, I've never come across somebody who is determined to get my business. He says, I really want to talk to you. Why don't you come with me to the corporate? And we sat down that day and hammered out an agreement. And that agreement was worth a few $1 million. So it's how passionate are you about your work? How passionate are your people? That's, I think, is the key. And these contracts which I'm talking about, or contracts from Iceland, Canada, my furthest, longest contract was from Chile. Aircraft from Chile coming to maintenance in Abu Dhabi, unheard of, but it can be done. You take away the objection of your, the person that you're trying to sell to. Next please. One of the contracts we also won was from the British Air Force. British Air Force sending the aircraft to Abu Dhabi, unheard of. And not only that, it was worth $49 million. That had to be announced in Parliament because it was being awarded there. And when you're doing government bidding people like it, they don't tell you who won until the very last day. The bidders are. And I was trying to find out desperately, is my company going to win? And they wouldn't respond. So I was sitting one day, and my daughter was with me, and she saw that I was so passionately working on this contract, but there was no answer. And she said to me, what would you do if you win this contract? That was a tough question. I thought, what would I do? I said, maybe I'll go and buy a new tie or maybe a new shirt. And then I said to her, what do you think I should do? She said, I've never seen you without a beard. I think you should shave your beard off. I said, that's interesting. So I called up the British Royal Air Force. And I said to them, I was wondering what the status is, and they said, you know the status. We're not going to tell you. We'll let you know. It's going to be announced in Parliament, and you know. I said, well, I'll tell you a story. This is what my daughter said to me. I should shave my beard off. So I just want to ask you, should I go out and buy the Gillette stock? Should I go out and buy the Gillette stock now? And they said, oh, you clever. You're going to make, you want to find out the other way. Huh? I said, no, we're not going to tell you that. And eventually we won. So we went out to sign the contract. Here's the senior most British people sitting across from the Air Force and from the Parliament and everyone, and our team of all the big people there. And we're ready to sign it. I was thinking, desperate, sign the damn paper. Then I know his agreement is signed. You know, they're talking about all kinds of things but the contract. Eventually they were ready to sign it, and they stopped. There's a big commotion on the British side. What's going on now? Now what? What have they forgotten? And a paper was passed over, and here's the minister who's looking at it, and he said, we got a problem. I said, what is the problem? He says, it says here Mr. Farooqui has to shave his beard off. And they made me shave my beard off. So, you know, it wasn't done in fun, but it's how you present it to your customer. So, you know, it's the important thing is you win your customer. And that is the key thing. Next please. In case you're wondering why I moved to the United States in 1998, I was offered a position for a company called Avatar Alliance as a director of international sales. And in the first year, I was promoted to the vice president. But unfortunately, 3 years later, the company had a downturn. I decided to leave them and move to a company in Florida. And what I realized was that I was doing a lot of work, whereas my compatriots, my other associates in the company were not doing as much. They were out playing golf in Florida. And I felt that I was bringing all the business. I had a lot of contacts in the industry. I traveled extensively. So I said, no, I can do something better on my own. And that, I think, will happen to you in whatever field you're in. You may even start, maybe in your company, you might want to start a new product line. It comes to you in a brainwave and says, I'm going to do this. So in my own business, I'm going to start a company called Access Aviation. That's the name. And I came up with a beautiful logo and Access with a globe around it and the word Access. Got the website all designed. Everything was good. The logo, the letter pad, everything was done. That was 1st of September. I did not know 10 days later 9/11 was supposed to happen. And then President Bush gets on the podium and says, Axis of evil. That's it. I couldn't start my company because my company name was Access too. Choosing a name is very important. And if I had continued with that word Access, that wouldn't have worked. So immediately I seized everything, took the thing off. I said, I can't start. Go back to the business card and start coming up with a new name. And the new name was Aventure International Aviation Services. I had to wait a few months to redesign it. And the reason Aventure was aviation venture is how I combined the words. Something that would be familiar to people. Can I just show the video of the company now? Let me just show you a quick video of our company.
Shops, aircraft leasing companies, and other part suppliers all over the world. We are ASA 100 accredited, complying with aviation industry standards set forth by the Aviation Suppliers Association and the FAA. Adventure's philosophy is based on value-added services to fulfill the operational requirements of C-130 and L-100 Air Forces, commercial airlines, aircraft owners and operators, corporate and business aviation, and the leasing companies. We also provide services to original equipment manufacturers, fixed base operators, as well as maintenance, repair, and overhaul facilities. We even supply airport ground support equipment, in addition to aviation consumables and expendables material. Adventure also specializes in military and commercial surplus inventory and asset management through consignment sales programs, total MRO management services for components, airframe and engines, and initial spares provisioning programs. One of our main competitive advantages is our superior level of customer service. Adventure provides services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and every day of the year to support your AOG and MyCap requirements. We also have sales representation in North America, Europe, the Middle East, Indian subcontinent, Russia and CIS countries, Asia, and the Far East. Adventure Aviation's headquarters and warehouse is located in the state of Georgia, near Atlanta, the capital of Georgia. Atlanta is one of the fastest growing and most diverse metropolitan cities in the United States. Our facility is also located near the world's busiest airport. Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport provides an average of 1,300 daily departures, allowing us to ship parts to almost any destination in the world. Adventure is also in close proximity to CMM's International Headquarters, the world's largest aquarium, 2 Six Flags amusement parks, the famous World of Coca-Cola Museum, Stone Mountain Park, and Zoo Atlanta. The original manufacturer of the C-130 Hercules aircraft, Lockheed Martin, is also located here. Adventure Aviation recognizes the importance of being involved in the community. Both our company and employees are deeply committed to giving back to the community and actively support both regional and international charity organizations. We invite your business to come and experience our Georgia Southern hospitality. Adventure Aviation is proud to serve your world of aviation.
Video like this, what you can do is you can put it on YouTube. Now when people contact us saying, what do you do? Here's the link, www.youtube.com/adventureaviation. They get a view of what you do. So it's better than saying, I do this, I do make a brochure. Yes, you can make the brochures, but brochures get outdated. Put it on a YouTube, it makes sense. And it's as you can see, you put it as a live feed or with something exciting, people will know a lot more about your company and your product. By the way, this same has been translated to different languages, and so if I'm talking to the Chinese, it's in Chinese subtitles. If it's to South America, it's in Spanish, making it tailor-made for them. So as we were talking earlier, that if you're trying to sell to Italy, for example, how about you translate something like this in Italian and present it? Whatever the documentation you have. Makes a lot more sense. We'll go through it real quick. Let's keep going, please. And keep going. Keep going here. Yeah, there you go. Anyway, let me get to a stage where this should try and get you a little more excited. You have to look at yourself in your own companies and decide what is your role. What is your role in your company? And I think it's important if you define yourself, this is what I do in my company, or this is what I do. The rest of the stuff would be easy. Because if you don't know what you do in your company, if you're just going to work every day and coming home, you cannot expect the rest of the company to perform well. So you've got to think of yourself, for example, like the musical conductor. The musical conductor, as is always in the center, maybe up on a platform, and he has all these people of different in the group. Some playing the viola, the violin, the trumpet, the harp, a collection of people with different disciplines. And he's got to be the center, all dressed up nicely in a suit or a tuxedo with a bow tie and a white shirt. He's got the group with him and all playing the same. So are you a conductor? Think of it yourself. You're the leader, right? Are you really a conductor? And if you are a conductor and you think you're a leader, then you better have some followers. By followers, I mean that you say, for example, to your employees, that I'm going in that direction, do they follow you? Do they trust you? Do they buy into your vision? If they don't, then there's something wrong. You're not a leader. You've got to cultivate yourself. And can you become a leader? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. But the important thing is a leader has to have followers. Followers that come on their own. Not because you say, you must come with me. They should come with them. They should come with you at all times. So the vision has to be there. And that they should follow you. So the followers are very, very important. Can my orchestra play their musical instrument? I mean, the last thing you want, if you have a team or if you have a group of people in your company and they don't know how to play, they don't know how to play the music. How would it be if you're the orchestra conductor and you have musicians who don't know how to play? That won't sound right. You won't tolerate it over there. Why would you tolerate it in your company? Can they read the score sheet of a selected piece of music? So here you go, and you said, today guys, we're going to be playing this Tchaikovsky's theme or some nice music. So you pass the music sheet to everyone. And some of them say, what is this? If that's the case, then you have somebody not in the right place. You've got the wrong guys in your company. Okay? So they must know what you want and they have to follow you because you say so. Are they ready to play the selected piece? I mean, if you say that you're going to start at a certain time, the music show is going to take place at 8 p.m., the audience is out there, the viola guy hasn't shown up, the drummer isn't there yet, so hey, that's not going to work. Are your team following you? So your team has to follow you. So if you want to be a conductor, if you want to be a leader in your company, you have to set the example, and the others have to follow. Is the musical instrument tuned correctly? Again, imagine yourself as a conductor, and you're there trying to play the theme, and you say, let's go guys, let's play it. And you find that the violin is completely off tune. So you get off the podium, you go out and help him tune this thing, and then you get back on it. And then you find that the viola guy isn't playing correctly, so you get down and do it and fix him and help him. Or the drummer in the back. What happens when you get off the podium? The rest of the team doesn't know who's the leader. Who are you following? Are you doing that in your company where you're bending backwards and going out and let me help the accounting guy? Let me fix the accounting person. Oh no, let me go out and help the salesperson. No, maybe I should go and help the quality person. Maybe I should help the factory person. No, they should be doing their own job. They should have their instrument tuned correctly. They should be playing it themselves. Okay? So the question that begs, when everything is, you have the presentation, are they all playing in harmony in your own company, in your own department, in your own division? Is everyone doing the job correctly? Because if they are, the sound will be beautiful. And you can just play on as a conductor and everything will be. So the question I ask you now is everyone in sync? What does sync mean? You tomorrow, or when you leave here, you go out there and say, hey guys, we're going to be playing Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake. It's a piece, and you give it to everyone, and you can start and everyone plays correctly. Is that what's going to happen? And if you say yes, let me be the audience. Let me come out to your company. Let me be your customer. I show up into your company, and let me see how they all play. When I show up in your company, is this what they look like? If they do, then there's something wrong, guys. You know? Then there's really something wrong in your company, which you need to fix. And if you're going to turn around and say, well, you know, that guy is not doing the job right, the quality guy isn't doing the job right, and the salespeople are not doing the job right, just remember, when you're pointing that one finger, 3 fingers are pointing at you. When you point, 3 fingers are pointing at you. So if the quality guy isn't doing right, you have to be blamed 3 times. It's your fault, not his fault. You're the leader. You're in charge of the department. So it's your fault, not his fault. You've got the wrong guy there. So if you have a problem with the quality side, and you're not able to fix it, he's not able to fix it on his own, it's your fault, not his. So remember that. So you really have to look at yourself and say, what do I do? But remember, there are solutions for everything, and I'll be happy to share my experiences. I know, Zaid, I was speaking to you and you mentioned about your previous speakers have talked about sports analogy. I know some of you are new. I want to share with you my analogy of sports, which will be very similar to the previous speakers maybe, but it's important that you should know. and important that you should keep in your mind about sports. Okay? Ali, I apologize, I don't have something on golf, but let me talk to you about soccer, okay? In your company, do you have a team? Team meaning that you have a group of people, right? You have to have otherwise you don't exist, which is again, the followers have to be there. So you do have a team. We all take it for granted that you have somebody in your company that is ready to play the game. So do you have a team within your organization, meaning there's an organization chart, so you know who's doing what? And if it is, then you have a proper team doing. And if it's a team, then you have obviously put the blocks in there, somebody running the sales department, the quality department, all the departments, and everyone has a place. In other words, you won't have a goalkeeper suddenly playing center position. The guy is supposed to play with the forward or the left side, who probably has a very good left foot. You don't put him on the right side. If you do, again, it's not his fault, it's your fault. You're not using the people correctly. You need to fix your own side and look at the people's strength. Just because this person was there, he's the best engineer, and he's been the best engineer in the company for the last 10 years, but you know, he screws up more than he does things right. And it's your fault, not his. You have him in the wrong place. Either he should belong in the company, or he should move on to a different department, where he's most suited for. So again, it's up to you how you put the people in the right place. So your team members should play in the correct role. Okay, that's very, very important. And if they are playing in a certain in your organization chart, you have them down in the responsibilities. This gentleman is supposed to run my quality assurance department. So what is he supposed to do? I have been hired to run your quality assurance department. I'm the new guy. What am I supposed to do? Run the quality. Okay. What do you want me to do? Have you given me the job description of each and every step that I need to do? I have to visit the factory 70% of the time. 30% I have to stay in the office. And if I'm in the factory, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to clean the machinery, clean the equipment? Those job descriptions have to be very, very clear. If you are, as I said, as an example of a goalpost in a soccer, you probably have heard this before, where you have to have a goal. And that's a goal is a normal thing. But just imagine for a moment, if you're playing soccer, and there is no goal on the other side. So you kick the ball on the other side, let them kick the ball on this side, and you keep playing with the ball for a while. And it's maybe it's time to go home. It was a good game. That's not the way it's done. You have to have a goal in mind. If you want your team to play together, you have to have a goal. Meaning that every day they must be prepared to say, what are we going to do this year? What are the sales expectations? Maybe you had a revenue of 50 lakhs last year, and now this year you're going to have 10 crores. Okay, then they must know. And how are you going to get from here to there? They have to have a goal, so that they can all play towards that same point. So it's very, very important that the goal post is defined. So for each project, they must have a mission statement that we're going to do this by such and such date. It has to be there. If you don't have a project and you say, well, this year we're going to do such and such, and we're going to increase our sales by 50%. And then December 31st comes around, or December 25th, and you're looking at it and say, wow, my sales are not there. Whose fault is that? You didn't specify the terms. You didn't put a mission statement. You didn't put the things in focus that these are the goals, these are my expectations. In 3 months it'll be here, 6 months will be here, 9 months will be here. There has to be some description of what you plan to achieve. If you don't, there'll be a problem. Because remember, it's you who sets the pace for the rest of the team. Don't let the teams set the pace for you. For example, if they say, well, this can't be done in 3 months, it can be done in 4 months. Okay, 4 months it is, let's put the date as 4 months. Take that date. If you think it's reasonable, take that date. But you want them to buy into that date. Do not be forced into saying 3 months, and when they're saying 4 months, negotiate. Come to some terms. Because if you say 3 months and it cannot be done, that's it. It's your fault. You put the date. But when the person in your department said 4 months, guess what? Now you have him. Now you can hold him. And you can remind him 3.5 months later, two more weeks to go for the 4 months. Remember you said 4 months? But make them committed, not yourself. Okay? So you have goal lines, right? You have the borders. Why do you have a border in soccer? What difference does it make? Let's just kick the ball around wherever we want to. We don't need borders, do we? There's a reason why you have borders, because you have set terms. That if the ball goes out, we stop playing, throw the ball back in. Same thing in your company. Do you have borders for your employees? That they cannot do this, or they cannot do that, and they understand very clearly that you're not supposed to steal the company property. You say, yeah, of course, they're not supposed to steal. Do they know what will be the consequences? Here's a red card. You do this, I give you a red card, means out. Are you able to say that? Have you defined the things in your company so that they understand very correctly these are the rules? So it is important that you set the border area with your employees, that these are the no-go items, that you will not tolerate it from going forward. If you do, then it is not acceptable in my company, in my department. If you come late, tell your employees, that's the border. If you come late, 10 times or 20 times a year, whatever thing you want to say, and put it down and enforce it. Unfortunately, someone, if you say 3 times, and you will be fired. And if the person is late by 3 times, you better take action. Otherwise, don't set the rules. If you're not prepared to make the borders, then don't. Then make the borders. Somebody does wrong, you have to comply. So they need to understand that. Okay. And the HR manual, I hope, or something is there in the book of what will you do if they don't comply. Okay. Measurement of success is why have breaks in the game. For example, you're playing soccer. It's a 45-minute game, and then you take a break, and then you come back 45 minutes. Why? Why should we take a break? Well, why don't we just play 90 minutes and be done and go home? Reflect. Exactly. And what does a coach do? He's telling the team, we're losing, guys. We're not doing something right. Something is going wrong. I think the guy was not doing right. Maybe I need to move money over this side. Maybe his head needs to be on that side. That's the time you look at it. You have to do that. Oh, we're winning. What are we doing right? So in your business, what is working for you? If something is working, keep going that way. If it's not working, that's the time to stop and think. With the team. Again, you're the leader. You're the one who can make the changes. You're the head of the department. As a leader, you make the changes. But you have to get the team in guide them. So how often do you meet with your team members? How often do you check the progress? Just because they said, well, the progress will be 3 months, let's assume that there was a project and they were going to be doing it 3 months. Should you meet in 2.5 months? Or 2 months and 29 days? That's not going to work. You need to check on them. You're the leader again. You have to enforce the rule by saying, you made a commitment for 3 months, I'm just checking. Let's get together, guys, see where we are. And let's make sure that everyone's doing their responsibility. Very, very important. But if you take too many meetings, that's not good either. Nothing will get done. They won't talk any other time, but in meetings. So the key thing is, you got to make them feel like you are one team. Make them feel proud that you're working for one group. Okay? And if they all feel like, hey, the management is listening to us, the management wants to be with us, the management is concerned about us. If I'm having an issue, I need to get to the factory. I cannot get there because my motorcycle is broken, so I can't get there, but I need to get there. If the management knows about it, maybe they might get the company car to drop me, or somebody else going down that way. Listen to their problems. You cannot just throw them out and say, I expect you, but not provide them tools. So it's important that they feel like that you are helping them as a team. Measurement of success. I am a firm believer in measuring the scores. Very, very important. Think of your bank statement. You get a bank statement, right? Every one of you get a bank statement? And you look at it and say, I thought I had that much money, 20,000 rupees, and now only 5 rupees are left. Yes, you spent all that money. That's past. You need to be thinking about the future. As a leader, you need to think about the future, not the past. The past has already happened. If you don't watch out, next month you won't have any money left. Hey, where did you spend that money? And let's take a look at the front. Always look up front. As a leader, remember you have the troops coming behind you. You're the people. The people are behind you. They don't want to know about what we did last month. We also want to know what we're going to do in the future. So you must be focused on the front. Okay? So the score is very, very important. Next week. Why keep a score? So are we winning or losing? Just like you said in a half time, retrospect. That's why you have the big scoreboard. So anytime the players can look up and say, oh, we're winning. Oh, we're losing. Oh, we're losing by that much. Whatever the case is, the players can look at it and decide, do you have a scoreboard in your company? Do you? I have a scoreboard in my company. It's up on the fridge, in the room, in the 2 or 3 locations. So the employees can look at it and say, we're doing good. We're not doing good at all this month. But the scores are there for them to see. Or do you keep all the finance and all the records for yourself? I'm not saying disclose the entire portfolio of your company. They won't even understand that. But what about if you had customers? Did you have an increase in customers from last year, last month, to this month? Is that good news or bad news? Share it. Share something that's good. Have your sales been increased? The product, are you shipping more products this month than last month? Share it. Because they will be proud to see, oh wow, I worked hard, and it shows right there. It shows right there. Show what you're doing. Okay, it's important, and I find that putting the score out there, whatever the score is that you think is applicable to your company, without getting your company into trouble, it should be there. Increase in sales, for example, you can have something like that. It doesn't say about the profit, and if somebody says, oh, it's up there, so do I deserve a bonus? By the way, I am a firm believer there's no bonus allowed. You might be saying, really no bonus? I believe in incentives. You do well, we make a profit, we'll share. But not just because the sales are going up, maybe your expenses are up there. You're not making enough money. So the profit is what determines, not sales. Okay? As I said, you could have anything like, do you have more customers than before? Are they that you have more products that you're shipping out? Do you have any new products this month, this year, than last year? Compare it. Make the troops, make your people in your company feel like they have achieved something, that they are part of it, part of the success of the company. And you'll be very, very surprised when you have the buy-in of the employees, buy-in of your team, that they will be saying, yes, we want to do it. But while this thing is going up, you also want to show them something that's going down, and that is considered good. What should that be? Any idea? What should be going down that you can also show to them? Cost. You can do the next one. Expenses. They should be decreasing. So last year or last month, whatever the trend was, how about if you show that to them? It will be a surprise. Let's say you're working here 30%, as you mentioned, 70% at the factory. How about if you ask one of the employees, do you have any ideas today that you can share with us that would decrease the cost? You never know what they might come up with, because the boss is asking them. In my company, this was brought up one time, and one of the simplest guys that does all the shipping and packing, he says, we have all these foam pellets that we use for packing. He says, you could shred all the magazines that come in, shred everything that's paper, and I can use all the shredded paper as packing material. How much did he save? Maybe a few $100s a year. To him, it's a big thing. That's the kind of thing. You may not have noticed it, but at his level, he may notice something. And when you recognize that throughout the company, it's amazing how many new ideas you will get. So ask the folks ask the people who are working for you, what new ideas can you have that will save us money? Yeah. So the cost of doing business is very, very important, and you need to have that in front so that you can monitor it too. Next please. Measurement of success. Let's assume that you win. Maybe you were trying to get a project, a new customer, and you won. This was the project, this was the incentive for the team that this month we're going to do this, or this quarter, or this year, and you win. What are you going to do? How are you going to celebrate? The person who did very well, the manager or supervisor or the foreman who was involved in the project and he did extremely well and making sure the project was successful and was profitable for you. So who made the profit? You did. How are you going to recognize that? How can you recognize somebody who really, really went out of the way? Are you going to send him, maybe him and his family off for a holiday to Islamabad? How's that? Fully paid for. What is the way you recognize the one person who did the best? If you recognize the best employee who really put out the best effort, the others will say, well, if he can do it, then I can do it too. It's how you get them to buy in. But at the same time, what if we have a person who has done the worst? Ali was in my group, and he did the worst thing. He put the whole group down. Do I bring him out in front of everyone and say, Ali, you did a terrible job? The whole team is disappointed. That's the wrong thing to do. Put him aside, one-on-one have a word. What is the problem? And you'll be surprised. Maybe the person is going through a divorce, or he's going through some physical issues, whatever it is. Ask the person individually. Do not ever ask or bring person down in front of the public. But when you're encouraging somebody and saying, you did a great job in front of everyone. And I tell you, it's a big thing. The guy feels like, the boss recognized me. And the others are saying, well, I want to be recognized too. I'm going to work hard too. That happens. The next one, please. A fish story. Do you want me to continue, Ali, or
Yeah.
stop? Yeah? Yeah. You tell me to stop, okay? This is more to the sales department. Are you guys involved in sales? In some respect, you hold on. Okay? And I want to share the story about the Inuit tribe. Have you ever heard of the Inuit tribe, anybody? Okay. This is a tribe which is based in Alaska. Okay. Zed, is that you sitting out there? It looks like Zed out there, right? Anyway, this is a tribe in Alaska, and imagine that this group is a family, a tribe, a big, huge village of Inuit people, and how their life is. We've got to survive every day. And when you look around the Inuit tribe area, Alaska, there's nothing, no green. It's just white ice and snow. So how do you survive? You've got to go and fish every morning. Just imagine, you're talking about making sugar, you're talking about making tents and equipment and everything. Well, these guys, they've got to fish every day. Every day, get up in the morning and cut a hole in the ice and start fishing. And if they catch enough fish for themselves, if there's more, then they have to give it to their neighbors so that they can survive. Okay, so that's the normal routine for them. Think of it in your business. Are your employees, your sales department particularly, are they going out and getting new business for you every day? Are they? Because that, I think, is very important. If they're getting enough business, not only to feed themselves or cover their salary, but they should be getting much more. Okay? But that is very, very important. So the best example I can give you from the Inuit tribe is, are they looking for the small accounts or they're trying to go for the bigger accounts? Quite often our salespeople, and if you do have salespeople in your company, they go for the easy ones. I've got a couple of sardines today. I'm done. I'm happy. Yes, you're happy because you've only got it for yourself. You're only feeding yourself. What about your co-worker? Okay? So that is something that you need to emphasize to them that, hey, your daily quotes, daily requests, small orders, they're fine. You have one or two events for the week. That's okay. But how about if you had the event for the whole year? Wouldn't that be nice? Those are the kind of things that you have to be convincing them that their job is not just to get the one or twos, but much more than that. The bigger fish, for example, would be the dolphins. So that's what the Inuit tribe does. They are, of course, looking for the sardines, but they're also looking for the bigger ones, because that way they can feed their neighbors as well. The dolphins are your medium-sized customers, and that will help not only for the employee, but for the employee's account. So when you're talking to your employees, the sales staff, try and encourage them to go for the bigger accounts, not just the little ones for the day and sit back. No, you've got to get the bigger accounts. You've got to be the leader. You've got to push them, and you have to ask them, what will it take to get a bigger account? What are the reasons you can get a bigger account? They'll say, well, because of the competition. No, let's take a look at it. Let's cut it down to this piecemeal, like we were talking earlier today. Service. If service is what it is, then you excel in service. Some of my clients, when I ask them, and I often do, and you should do the same, talk to your clients and ask them, so what do you like about us? Why do you buy from us? What is the thing that most appeals to you? And you'll be surprised that they will give you the answer, which you can then use in your advertising, in your YouTube video, or whatever it might be. You need to know from the customer, just because you think I'm going to be selling white tablecloths are the best, the customer likes pink. You didn't ask. So ask the customer, what is it that you like? In my company, for example, I often ask my employees, why do you call me? Why do I have customers from Australia and New Zealand? Why? Same thing as service. They keep telling me it's a service. They said, when we call you, when they call in their morning, All the other American companies have gone home, not us. We're there to answer their calls. Simple as that. Now, my competitors do the same thing. Yes, they will catch on, but they haven't. Little things like that. Ask the customer, what is it that will work? What do I need to do to get more of your business? Okay.
Yeah, usually customers like low price. That's the main thing they like.
No. And you turn the fan on. Okay?
Slick. Yeah.
Novelty. Do you think when I give a gift to this person, is he not going to share it with his friends?
Oh yes.
He goes around and says, hey, look what I got. Look what I got. Look. And this becomes a talking point for a while. But what I'm saying to you is, if you look at it, there's nothing in there. There's nothing there. Where does that go? You know? Okay? You're welcome to share it around. But the important thing is,
How much did you spend on something like this? Just
you know, Ali, you know who made this? This is my son, Usman, who made it. And not only that, he puts his own sales thing in there. That if you need more information, call me. Look at it.
Wow. So we would like
No, he is.
He is sitting in house.
Yes, that's what he looks after the marketing for my group, and this is his company, not my company. This is his company. He does all the promotion for me.
I was just going to add that perhaps like a part of BFC, what's important is recognition. If you have a business which has, distributors like Pan Pakistan or various regions, if you just get them together and recognize them as distributors, something like that.
Right.
And give them, like some flag company, highest distributor or something like that.
Right, something. This is the other thing which I do have a few. So I can share this with you.
I need contact details for your son.
Is it on the retail side?
No. The details I can share with you.
Thank you very much.
No, you're welcome. Did I give you guys? Let me get. These kind of gifts, what I'm trying to explain to you is, of course you can give plastic pens and others.
Yeah.
This is the keychain. It's got a shape of an aircraft. This is longer lasting. Most likely you put some keys in it. Every time you have it in your hand, you remember the company. The phone number is there. These are kind of things, they're not expensive, but they're longer lasting than just a plastic pen. So think about
Think crap जो हम दे देते हैं without thinking.
Yes, so start thinking along those lines. Okay? Next please. And I've said this before about visiting your clients regularly. That is very, very important. One of the things I was making this presentation, and I do this type of presentation in different classes, executive MBA classes in universities and other places. And I was mentioning to an American class of executive MBAs that when you travel to see a client, you need to be careful of what days they have off. Don't show up on a day when there is off. Don't show up on each day and expect them to come to you. And I made an example of saying, let's say don't go to Sri Lanka. Do you guys go to Sri Lanka? Poya Day. You know what Poya Day is? What is it?
I think it comes every mid of every month. So religious holiday or religious.
What is the reason for it? How would you know it's a holiday?
I go to Sri Lanka, so.
Now how would I know if tomorrow is a holiday?
Online. Check online. Tell me.
No. Okay. Very good. Both of you are good, but let me give you an answer. Whenever it's a full moon, it's a holiday.
Yeah. Full moon, correct.
Full moon is a holiday.
We've experienced that.
So this American class that I was teaching there, and they said, yeah, but how would I know it's a full moon over there? I said, all you gotta do is look out the window. If it's a full moon in America, it's a full moon there too. Okay. So
Is that true, right?
yeah, full moon is a full moon.
Monday.
Yeah.
How many moons are there?
फोन भी सेपरेट हो गया
I know, that's what I'm saying, that people forget. Sometimes, we all need to look at it. In any business, you have to take risks. With a well-informed plan and proposal, business sense, venture out to meet the client. You have to have some idea of what my customer would want. You don't go out and try and sell a service which they don't need. They have to have a requirement. And so, but you have to be brave enough to take risks in business. But when you take a risk in business, try and minimize the loss, minimize the chances of total rejection. That I think is very key. And how can you do it? By sampling it. You don't go out and get a full-blown presentation. We're taking a whole team of 10 people out there to make a sales pitch and find that they don't even need the product. So you have to test the market. See, even products like if McDonald's is coming out with a hamburger of a certain type or a certain sauce, they will test the market. They don't just go out and say, well, from tomorrow we're going to have this new burger. They test the market. So testing the market is the same thing what you need to do. That minimizes expenses. Sample it. Sample the product. Sample your stationery product. Sample it and see, will it work? Will it work in schools? If that's what product you want to sell. Take 1 or 2 schools and see if it works. If it works, then you start talking about it. But so it's very important how you test it. And I've seen also sometimes people start production of something without testing it properly, and that's a failure. All right? And I will come down to a short video I have about how you should test it first. Same thing, which I already mentioned to you. Telecommunication only is not the right way to do it. Go out and meet the people. One of the reasons why we have offices in those 4 different countries, let's say like for Russia, is because I want my clients to feel like they're talking to me in their own language. They can communicate with my local rep, and then he communicates with us. And I will get to your question about how do you retain people like that. Very, very important to retain the right person. It's not just money. You have to give a package deal that makes that employee work for you harder. If you need to entertain your clients, be professional. I've always said that, taking guests out. And the reason I bring this up is quite often I see people saying, well, I'm going to take you to a steak restaurant, and then finding out the gentleman is from a religious belief that he doesn't eat beef. Maybe he's a vegetarian, and you're taking him to a steak restaurant and he's uncomfortable. Ask him, what would you like? What appeals to him? And if he likes seafood and you don't, well, he's your client. That's your decision. Okay? But come to a point where you think about it and be more to his culture. I always tell people to not talk about politics and religion. If somebody brings it in and if you're in Egypt and somebody says, about Hosni Mubarak, and you don't say, yeah, great guy, you lost the contract. Or, be careful. Best thing you can do is talk about sports. Sports is something that's easy.
Or when he talks about politics, be diplomatic. Don't go against the movement there.
No opinion. Okay?
But very mild opinion.
Right. If they're talking about sports, don't talk about sport that he has no clue, no interest. If you're talking about soccer and he's never seen a soccer game, that's what he had. And back to the example I was giving you about the American class get involved, and they said, yeah, okay, can I talk about baseball, the World Baseball Championship? I said, you don't play baseball here in the United States. How does the guy in China know about baseball? So it doesn't make a difference. You have to talk about something that's he would interest in. Quick tools which I recommend. I just stopped in Qatar, Doha, and I had to have a meeting with the chief technical officer. Never met the man. And the vice president of the technical purchasing. I'm meeting them. I need to know who they are. A name doesn't mean anything. I need to know more about the guy than just showing up. If I know which university he went to, where did he work, maybe about his family, what was his birthday, or anything like that, that's extra tools I have. Where do I get that from? LinkedIn. Go to LinkedIn if you're not. And I can show you the example of what I was able to download quickly about where university he went to And if it was his birthday and he put it down that his birthday was, let's say, last month, so I can say, oh, Graham, how was your birthday last month? It's something that now I've come down to a level where I can speak to him. Something I've researched on him. Very, very important that you learn about your competition or about the person that you're going to meet. Information is available on LinkedIn. Okay? Most times it's available there. And I will, again, I'd be happy to share with you what these two gentlemen's LinkedIn look like. Another one that I always recommend, does anybody know what a Giga Alert is? No? I'll have to connect my computer. Anyway, what a Giga Alert is, I like to know if somebody is saying anything about me, about my company, or anything that I want to know. I need to know about something, whatever it might be, anywhere in the world. I need to be notified, good or bad, right? Don't you want to know about somebody writing about Nizamuddin company that is a terrible company? Because you want to fix that problem before it becomes big, before it gets to everywhere, right? This was probably about 18 months ago. I received a call, it was around October, from a British organization, a conference, and they said, you know, we're thinking of organizing this conference in Hamburg, and we'd like to know if you would be a speaker at that event. Would you like to speak? And I thought about it, I said, yeah, sure. My schedule allows me to speak. But come back to me and confirm that. And I didn't hear back from them. And around December, this Giga Alert that I've signed up for, an email shows up. And it's got a program of the brochure of the company. The organizers haven't contacted me, but through this website, they pick up, your name is showed up. Bang.
You're one of the speakers.
Yes. And I had to call the, hey, would it be nice if you tell me?
I think some of the speakers start doing that, Mage, you'll get us in trouble.
No.
He also advertised for confirmations
But look at what has happened
as a
here.
routine.
No, what you just said was very good. Mavia put out something. And guess what? Giga told me that I was supposed to come here. You may not have told me, but this website said they picked up his email somehow.
So then
You knew that these guys are already marketing you.
There's the privacy issue there.
It's Google.
This is only Google though.
This is Giga is Google. And they would pick it up.
You only know the company name.
No, you choose your name. Anything you want. Anything you want. If you want to know about the Ford products, put it down that I want to know about any time a Ford product is mentioned anywhere in the world, I want to know. I want to know every day. I want to know every day about Shah Murad. Anybody who mentions about Shah Murad anywhere in the world, I want to know. Every day, every week, every year, every month. I have my alerts sent for every Friday. Every Friday I want to know if my company name is shown up anywhere or my name is shown up. And I can definitely connect you and I'll show you afterwards.
Zahid, how much are you paying for something like this per segment? Or because I remember it was pitched through me because I use a CRM called Salesforce.
Yes.
And
good.
they were offering that add-on, something similar to this. I don't remember whether it was Giga Alert or something to this. It was an accumulator like this.
Right. I believe it's about $3 or $4 a month.
Per
No, per month.
Oh, it's just a subscription for.
Yes.
But
You can have-
per field, I'm imagining. If I want
No.
friends, and if I want like H Nizamuddin, so
Yes.
these are two different categories.
Yes, of course. But be careful, you know, if you say tens, it's so wide.
Yeah, I mean like
everything-
specific.
Florida.
Yeah. बहुत जबरदस्त useful tool.
Yeah.
Very important. I would strongly recommend it because you need to know about your who's writing about you.
Or whether you want to know about your number one competitor.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If he's in the
Exactly.
new, is he coming out with a new product or something like that?
Exactly.
Innovation के बारे में about your
Hey.
competitor, something like that. I mean.
Very important because you need to know before the deal comes out. You know.
Exactly.
This is what showed up on my screen. Okay.
Giga Alert. Yo Karachi chapter. क्या तारीख है ये?
Just last night. Last night I set it for Friday.
हाँ तो फ्राइडे को आ गया।
So Friday was it. I think if I had set it for Thursday or whatever
हाँ
day.
तो अकॉर्डिंगली आता
Put it on the Facebook.
So that plus my company के बारे में जो
हाँ उनका काम है accumulate करना सर्च इंजन से।
Yes. So you can search for your
I
company.
think it also takes information on the Facebook. Everything because he does it on Facebook.
He did it on Facebook.
Hey, you go over and catch it and then bring it out. Okay? Very important that you should have this, especially about your competition.
हाँ यार मेरा तो यही आया था मांग में कि सबसे पहले
नहीं।
कंपटीशन का पता
Competition
होना चाहिए,
क्या
innovation
competition?
क्या कर रहा है वो।
Yes, you need to know that
हाँ।
as soon as they design something, you know.
है क्यों नहीं है? पाकिस्तान है, ग्लोबल है, whatever it is,
You will find out कि भाई
shelter because you see our business is about we're competing
Right.
on shelter solutions and वो इनकी तरह bidding system है ना गवर्नमेंट का, तो वैल्यू हमारी यही है, वहाँ तो ये है कि भाई प्राइस है, डिलीवरी है,
I
उसके
said
बाद
for
अगर
name
वो
and
नया प्रोडक्ट
company.
ला रहे हैं तो ये
देखना
आपको
कैसे
कभी तो
पड़ेगा।
एज ला रहे हैं ना अपना।
They're getting it in Pakistan also. You know, कि आपने उसमें डाला होगा कहीं, and it picked up. I was notified yesterday that my name is Srinath in this location.
माफिया की पोस्ट है।
Or Facebook page.
Somebody got, they picked the name up.
बेटा
We're
जरा
friends.
देख के रहना,
हाँ।
ये जो हम मार्केटिंग करते हैं सीजन तो मरवाओगे हम।
Next one, please.
लास्ट से रहेंगे स्पीकर्स को हमने नाम डाला।
नहीं करूँगे। Okay, I'm on the last. There isn't here, but let me explain to you. Since you are in the tent business, right? And some of you are in the textile business. Do you know what a bat suit is? Have you heard of it? Let me give you another example. What if I give you a bed sheet? When I say spread the bed sheet, hold it on your two hands. Okay? And I say jump off this cliff. Would you do it? No? Why? You don't think your bed sheet or this what you're making is strong enough?
Not with the bed sheet. I don't think a bed sheet would.
Same, whatever material. What material would you like? Plastic? Fiberglass? Whatever. Thin, floppy stuff? Would you do it? Jump over a cliff?
No.
That's a new product line for you. I should get royalty for that.
You come up with that.
Huh? क्यों नहीं कूदें ऊपर से पहन के? Let's jump.
Have somebody else try it first.
I like him already. See? What you just said is the thing. See, now again, when you start brainstorming, you said it right. Test the market. Right? Sample the market. Correct? Without that, you are bound for failure. I just mentioned I was just mentioning that while you were out, taking a bed sheet or a tablecloth, holding it and jumping off, and they said, no, we can't do that. But you had a very good idea. Let's test it before we go out and market the product. Okay? So we have to go find somebody who's willing to do it first. Do you know anybody in this room who can do it? There? Let's take a look at a gentleman who does it. He does it, no motor, nothing attached, okay? Nothing attached to him. Just that stuff. I'm just looking at that hole right over there. He's looking at a hole in the mountain. There you go. That's all.
Obvious choice. Point of entry is that one. Come on. This side. Yeah, man.
Test the market, right?
This is my entry gate. This is what I'm looking at.
Test it as long as you're comfortable. Look at what he's wearing. The camera is on his helmet, and you'll see what he's seeing, what you're seeing. New product for you.
You want to try now?
मत पहन के
रात को पहन के सो जा without intents dual purpose see what wear it and sleep and then dream even wear it.
So think of your products. How can you do something out there? You have a product that's really good. Maybe you have the sugar industry. Maybe you have the stationery. Maybe textile. Maybe something. What more can you do with it? Test the market. Test it first. If it's good, then you expand. Bounce the ideas among yourselves. Will it work? Will it not work? And of course, find some crazy guys who will test it.
I have
as
one
well.
question.
Okay?
The question is this, you mentioned all these things when you're looking at your company, you're creating the boundary and you're creating the targets and you're reviewing the targets and you're following up with how they're working. The problem is when there's so many issues that you're working with and you don't get a time to actually evaluate anything else going on other than, that's when you're just running and
Yes.
so how do you get the time to actually fix that? I mean, unless a lot of, entrepreneurial companies, they can't find good people in that sense. Who wants to work when I want to work in my company, I doubt it. I much rather work in Agro or ICI or, so.
Yeah. The number one thing, the fact that I'm here, for example, is because somebody is taking my place, right? You should always have, if you are here today, Zindagi ka good bros, you'll be dead tomorrow. Who's going to take over? In the role that you're playing, you always have to have somebody behind you substituting for you. Okay? You have to have the good people to work with independently. I showed you an example of that music conductor where if you have to get off the podium and to fix this problem, and then you get back, and there's another problem, then you don't have the right people in the right place. Unfortunately, you don't. Then it has to be such a point where everyone should be working on their own. You're saying that you cannot find the right people. I accept that, okay? That you cannot find the right people. Maybe you're fishing for that person in a small pool of water. The same fish, you're looking for a big fish, but in a small pool of water. You cannot find the right person. Maybe you need to look outside. Maybe you need to find somebody who would be fantastic in sitting in Lahore. I don't know. Okay? Maybe you need to go and find him over there, not here.
And one more question. You see, all these people talk about right people. See, and Microsoft does it. Microsoft, Google, and all these companies. They say, here's the test, and that test is so difficult. They say, you need a 4.0. This is the test. If you pass this test with these really strategic questions, they know already that this guy's got brains and they're going to hire him. Whereas Microsoft, Google, he can see it. But for my company, I have an interview and at the most, my HR guy will meet him. And who is my HR guy? This guy I'm paying 60,000 rupees for, is less qualified, less educated than I am. Okay. And then I meet this guy for 15 minutes, and in 15 minutes I have to decide whether he is the right man for the right job. How can I decide in 15 minutes whether he is the right man for my right job? And in 15 minutes, usually my decisions are wrong. And then if I get rid of that person, then it's another stigma on the company that, hey,
I would say that it's very rare that you find somebody that you jump on in the first 15 minutes and say he's perfect. I mean, if the person would have to be exceptional. You should take time to review and think about it. Give the person some test, something that you can test his abilities. Don't just accept him on his resume, or just the 15 minutes you've discussed with him, or an hour or two. It's almost like giving him, if he says, I can fold this towel, for example. You say, okay, yeah, you're hired. No, give him a towel and say, fold it and show me. Show me how you do it. Use him for a day or two or something. Whatever it takes, you need to know whether the person is right. Okay? I would never allow somebody.
But they get scared, when I say, okay, I'll call you for a second interview, or for a third interview, they usually vanish.
That's good.
Can I just share what we do? What we do is we conduct an interview for 2 hours. It's the key personality. बड़े level की बात करो. Finance director या CFO. 2 hour interview, probably going through lunch as well. Coordinate आराम से बैठ
वो भी हम करते
के
हैं।
हंसी मजाक भी कर लेते हैं क्योंकि you know the person will come out best अगर वो full आपसे खुल जाए हंसी में या full गुस्सा दिलाते तो उसका चेहरा सामने आया था
Fine. You rock the boat.
उसका एटीट्यूड सामने आया था।
Same here.
तो कोई ऐसा टॉपिक छेड़ देता हूँ जो क्लोज टू द हार्ट हो तो वो गुस्से में आ जाए टैश में आ जाए या इतना मजाक में खोल देता हूँ कि वो फुल खुल जाता है किस टाइप का आदमी। ये हम लोगों का सबका है ठीक है। एक तो ये 2 घंटे और उसके बाद वी हैव अ प्रोबेशन पीरियड वी टेल देम दैट इन 3 months टाइम और व्हाटएवर यू डिसाइड वी आर गोइंग टू असेस यू एंड यू असेस अस आल्सो। ये नहीं है कि हमने सिर्फ असेस करना है। आपको नहीं मजा आ रहा हमारी कंपनी में इट्स नॉट योर अप टू योर कल्चर अप टू योर मार्क। आपको नहीं समझ आती कहीं कहाँ से आया वो पता नहीं कौन सी कंपनी से आ गया है कोई बहुत बड़ी कंपनी यहाँ पर नहीं है हमारी कंपनी में ऐसा या कोई बहुत छोटी कंपनी में आया और पता चला कि हमारी कंपनी तो बहुत बड़ी लगना शुरू हुई देयर इज नो होम कल्चर जो उसकी कंपनी में था। तो वो यू कैन इन 3 months टाइम यू कैन गिव अ मोमेंट्स नोटिस इन कल से मैं नहीं आऊँ।
Yeah, a lot of times you interview somebody and you actually like them for the job, but in 3 months' time they don't perform.
ना बहुत होता है ये तो हमारे यहाँ हर जगह होता है।
काफी बार तो वो तो it's a trial and error thing you have.
But then in some cases you like the person, the salary what he's asking is not a much what you're paying to your old employee, and you really want to keep him, but for the sake of the old employee, in your like you have to keep
ये
on
stigma
employee,
हमारी family
and you
businesses में
cannot
बहुत
do it.
है।
But then the man is
So
really,
because
you really want to keep that guy. Now you tell him that we will not give you this salary, but give out of pocket or whatever.
ये
that
stigma
you-
पापा ने रखा होता है
Usually that
पापा ने रखा होता है
depends
25 साल हो गए
or will not tax you.
और वो नया
or
बंदा आता है वो
just
उन्हीं की सैलरी
give you like on the
बड़ा
50
प्रॉब्लम
other check.
वो कैसे
But, no, this is what it is.
आपने बड़ा अच्छा सवाल किया जैसे पहले का रखा हुआ है इंसान
वो क्या करे?
हाँ the important thing is कि जो नया बंदा आ रहा है chances are that you're looking at him because he's probably bringing new ideas maybe he knows how to use Microsoft right something that हाँ
और we are not American ना हम लोग नहीं कहते कि hire or fire because or you reach your ceiling get out और here's the golden handshake sorry हम लोगों के यहाँ जो है वो cultural values है
चलते रहेंगे।
हमारे को बताया गया कि ये वो हैं जो तुम्हारे दादा ने हायर किए थे या हमारे अब्बा ने हायर
Soft
किए
skills
थे
ज़्यादा हैं।
They've been tested.
they've been tested and tried वो कहते हैं अरे हमारे जमाने में हम लोग यूँ करते थे अब ये नए नए बच्चे आ
Maybe
गए
they're not educated, maybe they don't, but they have a lot of experience.
Sure,
And-
but you just mentioned the person that you want to hire, he has certain different skills. Let's assume that this person you want to hire is because he knows something on computer and some software that you're planning to Salesforce लगा रहे हो अपनी company में. And this guy is really good at it. He did Salesforce in another company and he's coming on board. But you have a senior person, 30 years in the company, who's earning something there and you're looking at what do I do? Well, you need to give this person his due rights, even if he's coming in, because he's going to change your company from here going forward, right? The other person, well, yes, he's there, and unfortunately you're stuck with that person because of the family business. But the fact is, you're trying to take your company from a certain level to a certain level, and you need that person with that experience. So you're paying him for that skill. You can give him the same basic salary, but for that skill, you can give him a certain payment which could be higher than the rest of the employees.
I'd like to share an experience based on this कि जब हमने about a year ago हमने decide किया कि यार we want to find enough is enough हमें Oracle ERP implement करना है but we knew we had failed twice with ERPs because जो 30 साल से जो CFO था वो क्योंकि खुद comfortable नहीं था तो वो fail करवा देता था he would hijack the thing. So I got my father and my brother together and I got a third party, my father's best friend, who he respects a lot, कि पहले to get this across to my dad कि how important change management is from an ERP point of view. तो जब मेरे अब्बा को उनके बेस्ट फ्रेंड ने समझाया तो उनको बात समझ आ गई. एक तो we achieved that. So we decided कि यार हमने एक और CFO साथ रखना होगा parallel. Unless you don't keep a high level guy where the stakes are high, you will never get the implementation from the old guy. So we decided in that. But obviously it's a double-edged sword when you have two guys sitting at the top. कि पुराने वाले को because he has that wealth of experience and knowledge of legal matters, tax के हमारे family history, you can't let him go also. So you have to massage both and keep the ball rolling. And then we told the old guy कि यार अब आप it's not like we want you to go away, you're going to stay with us till you want to. You come on an advisory legal पर्सपेक्टिव आप कंपनी की लीगल मैटर्स देखें, अब आपका पेडेस्टल हायर हो गया है कि डे टू डे रनिंग ऑफ अकाउंट्स अब आप हैंड ओवर कर दें. इट वाज नॉट इजी, बट आई थिंक वी 75% हमने एटलीस्ट यूं अचीव किया है बाय. ठीक है, वी हैव टू लिव विद इट के यू नो ही इज मे बी 60 नाउ, ही विल प्रोबब्ली स्टे अनदर 3-4 years, बट बिकॉज इस तरह वालिद भी खुश, वो जिस बंदे ने थ्रू थिक एंड थिन देखा है, he deserves that also at the end of his career. You can't just say okay, you know what, thanks for putting in all the hard work, you're not up to date today, so we're going to let you go. So you can't do that also. So that's one of the experiences or transitions that we as a company are going through.
Like I think if you can afford the second man of that high
but we feel यार कि वो ERP ने हमारी जिंदगी बदल दी है in terms of reporting the value. वो यही लगता था किस तरह होगा, दो हैवी टॉप गाइस, बट वो नए बंदे की वैल्यू इतनी नजर आ रही है. उसने जो सिस्टम में जो लूप होल्स पकड़े हैं, आई थिंक वो अगर मैं ईयर ऑन में निकालूं तो आई एम सेविंग मोर मनी, आई फील एज अ कंपनी नाउ, इन बेटर रिपोर्टिंग, इन यू नो वेरियस इश्यूज. हमारे यहाँ यू नो सेल्स के इतने इश्यूज थे, कुछ इनवॉइसेज ही नहीं होती थी जो सिस्टम से निकल जाती थी. सो और बड़े ग्लिचेस निकल आए. वी रियलाइज कि वी वर लूजिंग मनी in several places, so at least it's not hurting us because we need the old guy for our legal, because of family history and all. Because the new guy can't inherit that all of a sudden. So हमें at least we feel के value हमने यूँ justify कर ली है, यूँ बचा के दे.
Know that before hiring that guy,
we took
the test and try.
You have to. We went through a headhunter, and like I said, it took me 4 months, several interviews. Final interview, मेरे अब्बा की जो दोस्त who's a board member at Descon, he came in specially from Lahore, sit on a board of interview. We did it at our house in an environment. So we, like Numan said, कि 3 दफा हमने interview किए, जब इतनी critical होती है, and especially where you're about to rock the board of your management, because एक old CFO और new CFO, we realized इतनी important है, it has to be right, because if that would have gone wrong, so and we explain that to the candidates as well. कि यार you have to understand कि how critical this is. You can't just leave after 2 months. यार I can't hack it.
But usually in Pakistan, I find the technical people na, after one interview, say second, third, fourth, na, they usually they treat it as like a in our industry disrespect, you know.
Process. What we've done recently in our company is that we've started to for these key positions. We tell them that in the second interview you come, you give a presentation. We give them sort of a model, figures or numbers and so on, and we tell them this is what it is, so present on it. So then we get an idea of what they're talking about. It's actually real material as well, and they can actually, you know, their dad got on the computer and basic PowerPoint and stuff. And then secondly, their concepts are very clear, and they can actually speak rather than just, you know, sitting across the table and saying this is what I've done in the past and these are what my qualifications are, this is how great I am. So it's just like small things which basically make your screening better, and then you kind of get to the right guy. And then at the end of the day, as he said, it's a trial and error process. And even then you will probably end up with someone you're not happy with after 2-3 months and you want to change it. So yeah.
But that's a really, there's this ordeal of keeping somebody and changing and growing, and this is a real.
It will get better with experience, though. You know, with time you become a better judge of
Whenever I speak to CEOs of the company, they say one thing, that our job is HR. Our job is HR. I mean, जो हमारा main काम है ना, HR is hiring and keeping them. So invest अगर और I know people who invest a lot of time in HR, keeping people, retaining, hiring them. I don't invest that much time, but I'm telling you that वो काम ही main नहीं होना चाहिए. आपका you keep the right person, you give him the right goals, and just monitor him. तो कोई काम ही नहीं आपको. ये आपने सीख लिया तो जो कि आपने भी नहीं किया, but people are doing this successfully. Also, I think history is a good predictor of the future. So जो references मिलते हैं आपको CV पे, you can actually call those people because अब networks करो your NEO and you know people in YPOs and all this stuff. You can opportunity market Pakistan. You can always call the CEO or you can ask को HR guy यार जरा तुम नहीं करा
चेक
They
करो
know
कि नीचे वाले बंदे से
की होती है already
नीचे वाले बंदे से
connection
चेक करो
होता
ये बंदा क्या है
6 degrees
कई ऐसे लोग मिले जो कि जिसमें रहता था अकाउंटिंग ऑडिट में वजह थी वो किसी मसले में निकाले कंपनी में, तो यू शुड अवॉइड
Honesty बहुत की है ना, मतलब
ऑनेस्टली आप
हमेशा
चेक कर सकते
इसके
हो।
बारे में।
अगर लास्ट कंपनी में उस वो निकला है और कोई ऐसा मसला नहीं है कोई मेजर, यू शुड गो फॉर इट। कोई इशू है, कोई टेक्निकल इशू है, कोई ऑनेस्टी का इशू है, देन यू शुड बी अवेयर कि ये मसला था तो आई शुड बी अवेयर ऑफ इट।
One major issue right now, within the factories which are in remote areas, like I'm at Hub or like,
Tension hub में है
the problem is that you can't
don't travel
get
here.
any technical people there or any good skilled people. So you have to live with what they are and you have to accept what they're doing. Although we know that there is lot of
dilemma हमारा भी है
इसके कराची में सब लोगों एरिया
that there are more wastages or they just
Yeah, I sympathize with that situation. But
that's we have to live with
That's
it.
something you haven't experienced.
right,
That-
but at some point in time, we have to see what is the best we can do with the handicap we have.
Exactly. Maybe have the office
You
somewhere.
have to
Coming back
pay
to
them
that-
more, pay them convince whatever है।
Something, कुछ करना पड़ेगा.
लोग आते हैं पाकिस्तान से बाहर से लोग आके
यहाँ पर ऐसे-
इंटीरियर सेल में काम कर रहे होते हैं।
Yeah, exactly.
People are doing that. I mean, they have been paid higher or whatever they have
So
done.
why would they go to that area to work if they work in Karachi?
No, but he's right. Like people,
Yeah, they're
like
getting
British
good
petroleum
pay,
people,
getting good pay, good
Then you have to
incentives.
increase your pay and your
yeah, incentives or
They
whatever.
double it.
They like
Again, that you have then the prices that what he was talking, then you have how to maintain that price level. You know, so then you have to increase your price.
आप शहर के बाहर होते हो ना तो फिर आप ही कोई वैल्यू ले रहे होते हो ना, because you have sort of lower overheads out of the city, out of the जो वैल्यूज हैं, आप उसको फिर इनकॉर्पोरेट करो तो इट कुड बी प्रोपोजिशन कि
जैसे लीडा में बिजली नहीं जाती और पानी अनलिमिटेड है हमारे पास
साइड में तो गैस का मसला है
If you're
इतना
going
pay
in
20% more.
that we are not going to the factories and if you're
हाँ,
not
हम नहीं
going,
जा सकते
if you're not
You
going,
can't.
that means there is.
वो मैंने
we
video
can-
conference
we
लगा दी
can- we
वहाँ
can
पर।
save it.
वो बड़ा सही तरीका है।
ठीक है, but video conference again it's not a personal touch ना.
It's very good यार, तू लगा के देख वेबसाइट anymore. It's
कैमरा
excellent.
कर सकते हैं आजकल. No, but जब बिजली है,
बिजली तो खैर
जब भी है.
बैकअप जनरेटर है।
हाँ,
ये लोग के वो किसी और से बात नहीं कर रहा है, सीरियसली ये सोच रहा है
यहाँ बैठ के ऐसे मैं अमेरिकन ऑफिस, I put cameras around.
Yes.
Right. I mean, this is what is happening.
ट्रेनिंग का तो एक culture है ना. बहुत अच्छे इनके quality
वे काम करते हैं यहाँ के तो नहीं
I'll just leave you with this last slide. A famous quotation: "Do what you do so well that they will want to see it again and bring their friends." Whatever you do, if you're in the entertainment business, you should be doing it so good that the customer who uses your service, he goes out and says to him and him and him and him, "Yeah, most service है." You should be so good at that. Whatever the service you provide, the product. Okay. There's a gentleman who recently said, he said, "We are a company and we see new ideas every day." I find that quotation, I'll send it to you. He said, "We find new ideas every day, fantastic ideas every day, and we reject fantastic
I have
ideas."
that.
Yep.
We reject fantastic ideas
Every day. Why do you think you would do that?
Venture cap होएगा.
प्रायोरिटाइज करना होता है आइडियाज
What he said was that we have fantastic ideas and we reject fantastic ideas because there are some even more fantastic ideas than those, and we have to choose the ideas correctly. And the product this company makes, it's a manufacturing. The products he makes, he said, all my products can be put on this table, the variety of products on the table in front of you. And do you know what the value of this company is? 56 billion. Do you think they don't have the money to build TVs, refrigerators?
right now they have but future I don't know.
No, they don't want to do it. That's what I'm trying to tell you. They don't want to do it. They want to be the best in what they do.
I have that quote I wanted to send.
You can read it.
I would like each one of you to read and note the following message given by
This
Tim
is
Cook,
to his, yeah.
Tim Cook, the current
CEO of Apple. The same company that had 40 billion revenues in 2012 is on track to make 260 in 2013. Is Apple going wild after every business opportunity they come across or develop all types of products as they do have the money to do just that? What is the secret? We are the most focused company that I know of or have read or have any other knowledge of. We say no to good ideas every day. We say no to great ideas in order to keep the amount of things we focus on very small in number, so that we can put enormous energy behind the ones we do choose. The table each of you are sitting at today, you could probably put every product on it that Apple makes, yet Apple's revenue last year was 40 billion. I think any other company that could say that is an oil company. That's not just saying yes to the right products, it's saying no to many products that are good ideas, but just not nearly as good as the other ones. I think this is so ingrained in our company that this hubris you talk about that happens to companies that are successful and sole goal in life is to get bigger. I can tell you the management team at Apple would never let that happen. That's not what we are about. Small list of things to focus on. Tim Cook, CEO.
Small list of things. They have the money. They can buy companies like that. They can come and buy probably all the companies. But he doesn't want to do it. The people, his management team has been focused on make the product, make it so good that everyone will buy it, and they'll keep buying that product. So when the let's say an Apple phone is coming out, the whole world goes crazy because the product is good.
You have to better what is your competitive advantages. Yeah, you can do what you can do well.
Right. But say yourself about that. Should they start making TVs? They can if they want to, but they don't want to do it. They want to be good in something, and maybe someday in future they might, but right now no. So this is a comment from another famous person. Any ideas who it could be?
Disney.
Who?
Disney.
Walt Disney, I'm not Disney.
Disney. Same to same.
Who do you think this is?
Only one watch. And this Sam Walton. Walmart. Walmart.
Another billionaire.
Warren.
Trump?
Trump नहीं होगा वो
Trump ऐसी बातें नहीं करता.
ये भाई तुम्हारे को फ्री फूड मिलेगा यूरो की तरफ से.
यूरो की तरफ
इसने कॉलेज में पढ़ाई की है, तुम सो रहे हो.
अभी वो नया है, उसको टाइम हो गया है, तो अभी भी पढ़ के निकला.
These are very, very successful people. They didn't just become successful overnight. They have some philosophies. They want their employees to feel that same thing. So this is a classic Walmart company. It's like a macro, in case some of you don't know. It's like having macro companies all over the world. And he has made it so very important that the customer must be treated properly. अगर आपको कुछ पार्ट रिटर्न करना हो या कोई आपने चीजें खरीदी हैं वापस करनी हो, there is no questions asked. No questions asked, because he says the customer is so important. His customer is not happy with his product, take it away. And the same thing I say in my company as well. If one of my employees has provided this glass and it has reached one of you and you said, yeah, because it's worth a crackhead, I'm not happy with it. You know what I say to my people? Bring it back immediately. Don't ask him any questions. He's not happy, bring it back. First thing, here's my FedEx number, your DHL number, do we have, your TNT number, send it back. First thing, come in. Why? Because if I have left this glass, which is cracked over here, what are you going to do? Yaani, dekho crack bhi dekho ye bhi crack. You're going to say to him, and he's going to say to another person, and this goes on and on and on. Cut that thing off right away. Take the product back, whatever the cost.
I have a question. We have a couple of very finicky customers, and they're not very big customers, but my father loves retaining them. And I fight with him every 6 months. क्या मतलब आपने रखी हुई सरदर्दी, उसने कुछ $100 का हर साल क्लेम देना है. Why the hell do we have him? And he's like, नहीं तुम्हें नहीं पता ये करना होता है. And I see कि इसकी अब आदत बन गई है कि regardless ये जाएगा, उसने ये इतने का आपको क्लेम देना है, होएगा कुछ $100 का कि नहीं इसकी जिप खराब है, मैंने कोरियर करा था उसको ट्रेन और वापस, तो मुझे आप पोस्ट वापस रिफंड करो every year. And I tell my dad कि he's made a habit by you allowing him every year and always regardless accepting. I feel that he's made now a habit out of that. हम जितने भी QA systems लगा लें, हमारी जितनी भी reports ठीक हो जाएं, we know कि यार वो 2-3 लोग हैं उन्होंने claim देना ही है.
And is the claim valid?
Now, that is, we can't go to the US for a few $100s.
No, I know, but now with Skype and all that, can you ask him to show it to you? Is it
We don't question.
Or when the product comes back, do you ever get the product back and see, is it really, it's like the glasses?
हाँ, वापस नहीं भेजता
पैसा मांगते
पाकिस्तान।
फ्री में कहता है कि ये ठीक है, मैं एक्सेप्ट कर लूंगा, तुम इसके पैसे कम कर दो।
हाँ, ये होता है।
I give within कि यार ये आपने उनको आदत डाल दी।
If we know that he is that sort of person, then we should get the product back instead of giving him a discount.
क्या हो?
That, or next time he comes up with the same idea, charge him more for it because of the same reason.
Build it into the cost.
Build it in.
ये करना चाहिए।
Build it in because
पहले से ही।
अगर आपके पास historical records से भी बंदा कर ही रहा है ये, तो आप एक margin रखें उसमें for the same thing. For the same
बिल्कुल एंड था।
25 साल से चार्ज की क्या छोटी पकी?
हाँ।
ये बताओ ना फिर डैड क्या जवाब देते हैं कि why you are keeping the
नहीं, वो कहते कि यार कोई बात नहीं है, मतलब चलने दो ना यार।
काफी बड़ा कस्टमर था या अभी छोटा था?
दोनों मतलब ये petty customers हैं, they don't make a difference, they're not the 95% of the company, they're the 5%, but उनको ये कि यार पुराना है, चल रहा है।
कोई बात कर रहे हैं sardines की जो छोटे हैं।
It is just like our fathers, they want to stay in the offices they were like 20 years, like just the बरकत. Probably take it as a बरकत यार। यार बरकत है, इससे और orders आ रहे हैं। Like most of the people who have grown, they just sit in that ugly places, but वो नहीं हटते वहाँ से. These are the places that we have made money.
Superstitious about.
I'm going to leave you with this last quotation. Hopefully you've learned something here or among yourselves. So whatever it is that you have experienced in your life, don't take it yaar mere saath sabab. Learn from it. If there were some mistakes made, don't make the same mistakes. That's what experience teaches you. Experience is the most important thing, and you guys are so young. You have a lot of life ahead of you. Take whatever you've learned. Take what you've learned from your father or your uncle or your anybody, the dada behind you know chalai company. Learn from them or what skills they've left behind. They have invested in that company. They're living a lot of experience behind. You can take it from where it is to something new. If, for example, you are making tents, now you've gone into something different, entertainment. Maybe tomorrow you might be making this bat suit. I don't know. Maybe something you'll make which is something different. Now they're making, for example, they're taking all these plastic bottles, and making clothes out of it. Amazing. Clothes that don't stain. Clothes that don't stain. Clothes that are wash and wear. Clothes that you don't have to iron. When you start looking at it, what would be that implication if suddenly the fabric becomes the hit? What happens to your textiles? What happens to the person who is making the iron? No need for an iron. Innovation might take over. So don't be complacent where you say, I have it, you know. Don't take that. Yes. Think when you are young, ठीक है, जो भी ideas थी, parents की, grandparents की, you have them. Whether it is sugar, look at it, what can you do with it? Don't stay with that same product line. Try to diversify. You never know, that same product may last, but what if you diversify? So think of it, what you can do with whatever line of business you're in. Okay. TNT here. Take a look at it. What can you do next with it? Where can you grow? So those are kind of important things. Maybe you should buy an air balloon. These are kind of things that you gotta think outside the box now. You never know. Yes, क्यों नहीं airline खरीदो फिर तो वो next time Neo की meeting होगी तो Bourbon Bourbon
दुबई
यार लंदन लेके जाएगा हाँ यार अंदर जहाँ में बैठ के मीटिंग करेंगे नीचे उतरेंगे एंजॉय करेंगे यार दुबई तक खुश हो गया यार दुबई
इंट्रोडक्शन में काफी
Tell us about a little bit about that.
Sure. What happened was, let me go back a little bit. Again, if you have a few minutes.
We do.
As I said to you, I started this company with access at it was a major issue. As I mentioned to you that I am a Pakistani. I hold a Pakistani passport. I'm a Muslim. My name is Muslim. I'm in the aviation business. The things I do is all related to aircraft. I've worked in the Middle East. And guess what? I was flying that morning when 9/11 happened. So can you imagine what would you do if you were an American?
Change industries.
No, you would look at me as suspicious.
Can you?
Yes, can you? You know.
Okay? I was grilled by many, many people. The Homeland Security was there.
Sir, MT sir.
Assalamu alaikum, how are you? So I was mentioning to you, I was grilled by the FBI, the CIA, the Homeland Security at my home, this, that. My wife, she wears a hijab. And of course we stand out. We had a choice at that time. After I was being grilled each time, and I'm in the aviation business, I fly a lot. Should we leave this country and go back? Why should I take this headache? It's not worth it to be harassed by, wherever I go. And then every time I fly, can we check you randomly? We selected you randomly. I got the point to say, is this a random on my forehead or what? So, we both of us decided, something? There are a lot more other people out there. If we educated people cannot represent them in America and change the opinion, then there's something wrong. So we both decided we would do it. My wife decided that she would talk about Islam, and that's very, very important. You can have, let's say, koi Sheikh Bali Dari, with all the pajama in an American and saying Islam is good, people will not listen. They'll say, we are Taliban again. But with her saying what she learned about Islam, and by the way, it's a strong network of people who have been grilled over and over again about Islam. What kind of questions you ask? What kind of questions you can expect? So she did that part, and I said I'll go to the politics side and go after everything that I can. And it was only a matter of time where the area I live in, the mayor called me one day, and he said, you complain too much about the airport. There was an airport around there, called Atlanta Regional Airport. I said, you complain too much about it. And I did, because it wasn't functioning properly. He told me, if you think you can do a better job, why don't you run it? Big challenge. So let me think about it. Went back, spoke to a few people, got 4 other people on board. We'll take a challenge. And suddenly I was running the board of the airport, on the board of the airport. I had a CEO of an airline working with me, and the important people that I needed to make, one was a finance person, who was a CFO for a company, not necessarily aviation, but aviation experience. We came in and we changed the airport. And in about 9 months, that airport, we completely renovated it, changed it, everything was changed around the airport, and we made money on it. And with about 80,000 left over. How? By going door to door and asking companies, we're changing the airport. Would you like to contribute? If people trust you, it will happen. People donated. The companies that made the lights, fixtures, they donated all the lights. You have to have a purpose. If you can do it, your name comes up. And that's one thing I was able to do. As that business grew, and I was doing a good job at the airport. By the way, last December I left after 5 years working on it. It's better to leave on a high note. Don't let your name go down. But do get involved in any social or political event around, just to see how things are run. As I mentioned to you, that I also was chosen as the exporter of the year for the state of Georgia. Why? It's making your product and making sure that people know what you're doing. Working with the Red Cross, working with the different cancer and other sort of things. People recognize you as, okay, you're doing something good, you must be a good man. Your company, they want to look at your company. We were successful to the point when they said we won the Georgia Award as an exporter representing the state of Georgia. I was surprised. Why us? But then I said, is there some money involved? They said, no, it doesn't mean money. It just means that you are the best company in Georgia, and you would compete with the 9 other states: the state of Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, whatever, 9 states, and you would be competing against them to see who's the best. And we won that too. That to me was a shock. Like, whoa, what have we done here? Then you find that the governor is calling you to come out and talk to him. And one of the things he said, so what can I do for you? Okay. So now you're in a different profile. And I mentioned to him that, and he said, if you want me to travel with you, I would be happy to do it. And this was a few years ago, and I said I was going to go to Dubai, and it was a Dubai air show. And the governor of the state came along with us. And to have a governor standing next to you and saying, this is my company for my home state, it's a big difference. And you know what was my first thing when he said he was coming with me? I said, I'm a Pakistani. I want you to know that, and I'm Muslim. Leave it to him. Same thing happened, once you get to that profile level, you continue to do what you do right. I was invited to the US Chamber of Commerce in Washington, D.C. So yeah, fine, because you're doing something right. Obviously doing something right, because suddenly your name is out there. We'd like to know more about you. What are the issues? How can we take it to the next level? This is the United States government, not the state, but the whole United States. So there were about 40 people from all over USA who showed up. There was one Chinese and the rest were all Americans. And in the Chamber of Commerce, sitting across, I made my points. I said, look, I'm trying to sell to companies, but you're not giving them the visas to come out. I want my client to come and see me, but you're not offering them the visa. They're getting harassed at the consulates. They're getting harassed at the embassies. This is not on. If you want me to sell American products, I need them to come and see the products. So, there's several other issues that I pointed out to them on my export. What were the restrictions? They put some license restrictions, etc. They listened to me and said, we need to take you to the Senate. So I went to the senators. Never been in the Capitol building. In the senators' private chamber, met with him. Said the same thing. He turns around and after he listens and we've got a point. Take him to the congressman. So I go to the congressman. And this is his private room. And I tell you that when I was sitting in his private chamber, सारी books होती हैं something. And one of the books on top was Who Speaks for Islam? I'll tell you about that book later. Who Speaks for Islam was on top. Apparently he was reading it. Okay? So it was to me, and I mentioned, that's a very good book you read. Whether I read or not, but I just wanted to know. So he listened to my story about the same thing, and his reaction was, we need to take you to the White House. Okay, let's go. We went to the White House. There is underneath the state capitol, there is a road, there's like a little tram trolley type that takes you to the White House from underneath. We went to the White House, get up to the Marine, identification, and I happened to have my passport that day. So, gave my passport. वो देखता है. They were like, this is from Pakistan. So मैंने कहा, do you have a problem with that? I'm not here because I wanted to come. I asked the congressman who was with me. The congressman को देखता है, बोलता है, like he didn't know. He's with us. Okay, let's go. So what I'm trying to say to you is, when I did go to the White House, and I had a private meeting with, like your Minister of Trade and Commerce, it was a very unusual meeting. You sit with him and talk to him, and you look about another 100 feet away, 150 feet away is the Oval, and there's George Bush sitting there. And I say to myself, I'm the same guy that you randomly harassed me. And I'm sitting right there. All I'm trying to say, you can do it too. You can do it too. You have to stand by your principles. Stand by your principles, whatever they are. In your company as well. If you believe your company has to excel, then set the standard high and stick to it, and then expect your followers to come along with you. Very important, very, very important. Let me digress a little bit. When I mentioned about my wife as well. When she was talking about Islam, there was an event in an Islamic center, and they had invited some churchgoers, those were churches already, and they were sitting there, and she went through the whole presentation, as we call it, Islam 101. What is Islam, etc. It's important for people to know. And I happened to come at the back to collect her. So when she finished with the presentation, like Q&A, so one guy got up. He said, why are you so oppressed? Why do you listen to your husband so much? Why do you wear the scarf? Why can't you take it off and say, I'm not listening to you anymore? Why do you do that? Can't you not stand up for your husband? How would you answer that? You can tell him, it's none of your business, guy, you know. Can you? If you did, you would have turned him away. The correct answer, which changed things, was, she said, no, this is not a scarf. It's called a hijab. We wear it out of modesty. And in Islam, I have my own rights. I choose to wear it. My husband didn't force me. And by the way, my husband is sitting right behind you. And in Islam, what I earn in my salary, I keep. What he earns, I get that too. You're like, oh, okay. That's a pretty good deal for the Muslim women, right? And then she said, you know, as I said, the scarf thing, she says, so do you believe in Jesus Christ? Yes, of course. That was his answer. He's a Christian, right? He says, so do we. As Muslims, we believe in the same prophet that you have. And this again, it was around November time period, I remember, and she said, so do you also believe in, if you believe in Jesus, do you believe in Mary? Remember, you have to go down to their language level to understand. I said, yeah, of course we do. So do we. We have a whole chapter in the Quran with Surah Maryam, as you know. We have a whole chapter dedicated to Mary. So she said, then you have Jesus and Mary statues and postcards and everything around for Christmas? I said, yeah, we do. She said, when was the last time you saw Mary without the hijab?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not yet closed. They have no answer. If you don't like the hijab, why is Mary wearing a hijab? And you pray towards her, right? So you have to somehow be not confrontational. And this can happen with your customers, could be happening with your new employee. It's trying to find out how can you make it work for you. But I think that is important. Right? So don't, when somebody becomes confrontation, don't react. Absorb it and see where is he coming from? Why is he, this person who is rejecting your product each year? What is the reason for it? Just because he enjoys it? Or is there really a quality issue? If it's a quality issue, then you need to fix that. You should be thanking him to alerting you to this problem. But if it's the same man doing the same thing, it's your choice. If you want him as a customer, like I was saying to you very early in the, it's your choice. You can tell him, sorry, I don't need your business. You can do that. You chose for him to be your customer. And a customer means he should be paying you something for your services so that you will make a profit to grow your company. And if you're not making the profit with this customer, it's more of a headache, then it's time for you to review this account. Anything else? Otherwise, I'm thankful for you for allowing me to.
It was a great session.
But if you have any questions, I'm around for a while. Just let me know. By the way, the person who said this was Al Safsi, an astronomer. The important thing is, you should, whatever ideas have been expressed, it's again ideas which have worked for me. I'm not saying it'll work for you, but at least there might be one or two gems in there that may work.
Right.
Yeah. But the key thing again is, if you're part of an organization like an EO, share those ideas among your group. I belong to another group, by the way. I'm not with EO. I belong to a group called Vistage, V-I-S-T-A-G-E, which is like the EO group but different. Vistage is for the CEOs of certain organizations, and again, I'm very happy with my organization, and we have the same kind of meetings. We also have one-on-one consultations with my head of the group. He comes in to my company to go through each and everything. The most important thing is, among yourself you can share the problems. And when the going gets rough, don't run. In fact, come back and share your problems with the group. And they might show you how to put the fire out. Okay. Sorry I took too much of your time. I know you were the first one here.
Zahid Saab, thank you so much. You've been very selfless with your time. By the way, Zahid Saab has done this out of his own precious time. He's not charged you anything. It was his desire along with Zaid's ke hum log kuch seekh sake, kuch we can take something. So I mean, we can't thank you enough for coming to see us. And I think it's been an engaging, inspirational session with you, at least for me.
Good. As long as I said you take away even just one new idea that you can implement in your company, whether it was the span that attracted you, or whether it was the musical conductor concept, anything like that.